This week on ANN, we bring special reports from Church Humanitarian Ministries who are working during the COVID-19 pandemic.
And Impact Hope offers education to Rwanda refugees.
These stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, this week people all over the world celebrate Christmas.
This year looks different for most of us because of the COVID-19 pandemic that has changed the way we meet with friends, families, and our community.
While we know that Jesus wasn't born in December, we pause during this time of year to remember his birth and sacrifice for humanity.
Especially this year when there has been so much change, sadness, and loss. The joy of who he is and what he has done to save us brings us hope.
In this week's episode, we will take time to see just a few of the ministries and programs around the world helping those in need during the COVID-19 pandemic.
We hope you will be inspired and blessed to reach out to your community, see where there is a need, and help in any way that you can.
During this time, we pray all of you will find the peace and hope only Jesus can bring.
We turn first to the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, or ADRA.
ADRA has been working tirelessly during the COVID-19 pandemic to bring relief and hope to communities who are suffering.
ADRA sent this report about their work during COVID-19.
The Adventist Development and Relief Agency, or ADRA, is the global humanitarian arm of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. We are a team of more than 10,000 dedicated humanitarians in more than 100 countries who tirelessly serve the world's most vulnerable people every day. For decades, ADRA has responded to some of the world's most devastating disasters and crises. But nothing could have prepared us for a global pandemic. COVID-19 forced us to rethink and redesign the way we would face this new crisis. Within days of the pandemic, ADRA established a global COVID-19 task force to drive the response. Within weeks, the task force had established a strategy to serve vulnerable people around the world. What did that look like? In response to the pandemic, ADRA created 422 projects to serve 20 million people in 96 countries. ADRA pivoted to meet needs with the support of our generous partners. The ability to leverage funds strategically helped ADRA's response grow to more than $26 million, thanks in large part to the strength and support of our partnerships with the Adventist Church, governments, United Nations agencies, corporations, and other nonprofit organizations. For every $1 that ADRA invested, our partners contributed $7. Our work with the church in particular was a major success. Nearly 70% of all COVID-19 response projects were in partnership with our church. Adventists around the world came together to support the mission of ADRA. They came together in solidarity for those who were suffering and for those who continue to suffer, so all may live as God intended. Thanks to our partnership with the Adventist Church and other agents of change, ADRA is working around the clock to counteract the fallout of the pandemic. For years, ADRA has helped communities stay healthy because we understand that when health is affected, little else matters. This is why we have been supporting health projects around the globe to ensure that people are not made more vulnerable by sickness. Ensuring that families remain healthy was never more important than during this devastating global pandemic. To mitigate the impact of the virus, our response included 97 health projects, helping more than 5 million people around the world. Our partnership with Adventist-led health facilities has reached many in need. During this response, ADRA delivered tons of personal protective equipment supplies to hospitals and healthcare centers so that health workers and patients alike could be protected. In partnership with Adventist broadcasters, ADRA also sent out critically important health messages to millions of people to ensure hand washing and proper precautions to reduce the spread of the virus. ADRA also understands that water and sanitation are critical in times of need. During a health crisis especially, proper sanitation does more than almost anything to stop the spread of the virus. And ADRA has been hard at work to ensure people around the globe have access to hand washing stations, cleaning alcohol, and proper training of sanitation protocols. This year, our COVID task force has tailored 89 projects to address the needs of water and sanitation. More than 4 million people have accessed these projects. Few fallouts of any crisis, however, can match the desperation of global hunger. As markets collapsed, economies crumbled, and millions lost their jobs, food became harder to find and to afford. Families who had never experienced hunger waited in lines at food banks and distribution centers. Children missed meals. Many felt the pangs not only of hunger, but also of hopelessness. For these reasons, ADRA spent $8.5 million to ensure that vulnerable families around the world would not go hungry. In Northern Colombia, ADRA worked with the Adventist Church to select 100 Wayuu indigenous families who were unable to work and earn money so they could receive regular food baskets during the pandemic. In total, our COVID task force implemented 134 projects to feed more than 6 million people around the world. During these times of instability and confusion, support systems break down, mental health suffers, and individuals feel isolated and lonely. ADRA serves them during this time of great suffering. 58 of our COVID-19 projects are tailored specifically for psychosocial support. 2.6 million people have connected with us through these projects and have learned they are not alone. Since the start of our COVID task force, our 422 projects have assured 20 million precious lives that they will not be defeated by the pandemic. This example has given hope to millions more. As ADRA's response grows, our focus will expand to help communities recover from the long term. This forward momentum will see an increased focus in areas of resilience, rebuilding livelihoods, and education for all children. While it is true that the global effects of this novel coronavirus are unprecedented, it is also true that ADRA, in partnership with the Adventist Church, has a proven capacity to rise to the occasion. We serve as the hands and feet of Jesus, so all may live as God intended. Not even a pandemic can change that.
For more information about ADRA's work and to find out how you can be involved, visit adra.org.
Coming up, Impact Hope helps refugees in Rwanda get an education.
But up next, Maranatha Volunteers continues to work during the COVID-19 pandemic.
We may look, pray, read, think, worship, sing, and share differently, but we all look forward to the Sabbath. And we all look forward to the future when Jesus will come again. With this message in mind, we arrived at a core component for a new identity system, the creation grid, a simple 7-column structure for layout. The grid is a reference both to the prophetic timeline as well as to the creation week that culminated in the 7th-day Sabbath. The first 6 columns of the grid belong to the designer. It can be filled with anything: text, images, illustrations, patterns, and logos. But the 7th column, the Sabbath column, does not belong to them. It is meant to be different and special. Regardless of what or where you are designing, you can always find information to help you communicate that we are all Seventh-day Adventists.
Hi, VL. How are you? Are you okay? Dear VL, I can't even remember how long we've been staying at home now because of this virus. For now, it's just nice to hear your voice and see your face. Nothing beats playing outside in the dirt, though. Which reminds me, are your hands clean? Yes! Mommy and Daddy says not a lot of kids get COVID-19, but it's always nice to be extra safe. We should wash our hands before picking our nose. Washing our hands protects us, but it also keeps us from spreading the virus in case we touch something dirty. Let's always be clean and safe, okay? Love, Joey.
Welcome back.
Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, Maranatha's mission never stopped.
The team with Maranatha Volunteers has continued volunteering in the United States and around the world to build churches, schools, and wells.
Maranatha Volunteers sent this report.
faith and flexibility have been key in overcoming many challenges in 2020. And Maranatha Volunteers International has been able to continue the mission to serve communities around the world through construction. While international mission trips were postponed for most of the year, Maranatha mobilized 11 teams throughout the United States, the majority of which took place after the start of the pandemic. From campus renovations to church construction, Maranatha worked carefully with local regulations for COVID-19 to implement projects in North America, including the Campfire Shed Project. Following a catastrophic wildfire that destroyed the community of Paradise, California, Maranatha partnered with the Paradise Seventh-day Adventist Church to build storage sheds for fire survivors. The first project was in 2019, and Maranatha followed up with 2 more sessions in 2020. In total, 780 volunteers constructed 452 sheds. Overseas, the mission also continued, even without volunteers. Maranatha has local teams stationed in each country where we're working. And after a brief pause, most of these teams were able to start working again, even sheltering in place at the construction sites. In Zambia, Maranatha's local team completed 66 one-day churches and drilled more than 200 water wells. They also had a crew stationed at the Emmanuel Adventist Secondary School to build classrooms and dormitories. In Kenya, crews worked at the Kiutini Adventist School and the Kajiado Adventist School and Rescue Center to finish building, landscaping, water systems, and more. Additionally, Maranatha had teams building one-day churches and drilling water wells. Many of the wells have been constructed in Ukumbani, a region that suffers from drought. And in India, crews in rural parts of the country sheltered in place to build a brand new campus for the Jingshai Mingi Adventist School, along with multiple churches and more than 100 water wells. Maranatha also had teams drilling wells in Brazil and building churches and schools in Côte d'Ivoire and Peru. Despite the productivity of Maranatha's in-country crews, Maranatha continued to look for ways in which volunteers could serve overseas. And after a series of starts and stops on a number of options, in December, a small team of volunteers successfully landed in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, to have our first international mission trip since March. In 2021, Maranatha will keep pushing forward on projects by using local staff as the need for churches, schools, and water wells only continues to grow. And volunteer projects have also been scheduled in both the United States and overseas. As conditions keep changing, all projects will continually be assessed for safety before proceeding. No matter the situation of the world, the need is persistent, and communities around the world still need the help of Maranatha. The protocol for service has changed, but the mission is the same: to share the gospel through service. Learn more about Maranatha's mission and how you can help by going to maranatha.org.
Each year, we try to give you an update on Impact Hope, an Adventist ministry that provides education to refugees in Rwanda.
After hearing the full story of refugees still living in Rwanda due to the 100 bloody days of genocide in 1994, Hans and Mindy Thagason learned of information that hit close to home. The area of the DR Congo where persecution is the most rampant is a predominantly Christian area. So they worked closely alongside ADRA Rwanda to implement the Impact Hope program.
Now, over 700 refugee students are enrolled in safe boarding schools, all because of the outpouring of support from you, who believe in making a lasting difference in this world.
The Impact Hope Summer Trade Program is about creating a safe and spiritual environment for refugee students to learn the skills they need to achieve their goals.
This program allows students to stay at an Adventist boarding school during their summer break and develop their skills in a specific trade.
Impact Hope sent this report.
The Impact Hope Summer Trade Program is about creating a safe and spiritual environment for refugee students to learn the skills they need to achieve their goals. My name is Alyssa Johnston, and I had the opportunity to visit the program that ASI helped fund. This program allows students to stay at an Adventist boarding school during their summer break and develop their skills in a specific trade. Maintenance students fixed the dorm showers and went into the surrounding village to help plan a new water system. They wired an electrical system and added plumbing for the new chicken farm. Hairdressing students learned cutting techniques, braiding, and how to color hair. They gave free haircuts to the village children. Sewing and tailoring students sewed shirts and backpacks. The students made gifts for the volunteers who helped with the training. Permaculture students planted a large garden at Roncarey Adventist Secondary School so that students could enjoy fresh vegetables. They dug pits and buried water pots to improve the yield of vegetables grown. At Gateway Adventist School, students set up a farm stand and earned enough money to sponsor a refugee student of their own. Culinary students made bread, crepes, breakfast foods, and nutritionally dense meals for low cost. Students improved their English skills as they interacted with volunteers from the United States. The students grew spiritually. They learned new Bible verses and worship songs. They led music and created spiritual skits and expressed themselves through poetry. Thank you, ASI, for making this program possible.
You can find out more about Impact Hope by visiting impact-hope.org.
Coming up, Elizabeth Henry is here with This Week in Adventist History.
But up next, Adventist Mission has a story of a man in India who answered God's call with, "I will go."
Any idea what time it is?
We really, really need our sleep.
Are you from?
No, we're not from the future, but we know you only pay attention to yourselves, so here we are.
But how? We have no time for that. We have less than 30 seconds.
Fact number 1. Adults need 7 hours of sound, restful sleep to keep their immune systems healthy and to fight viruses. And today, right now, is the single most important thing you can do to keep yourself healthy. What are you doing?
We're just Googling if spicy foods cause hallucinations.
Fact 2. Staring at your phone or your computer right before bed prevents sound sleep. And you'll be tired the next day. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Can we just go to bed, please?
When I first felt called to be a minister, I didn't want to be a typical pastor with a suit and a tie. One of the things I appreciated most about Christ was his ability to defy convention. Once, when I moved away from a place where I was pastoring, one of my friends said, "We're going to miss you. You're so unusual." I take that as a compliment. I'm someone who likes a challenge. I love to test my limits. I've been running for more than 35 years, most days of the week. I love to run, especially in nature. It's time alone with God where I can recharge. I run first thing in the morning so I can prepare emotionally and spiritually for whatever I might experience that day. I find my greatest fulfillment in relating to people who aren't Adventist or even Christian. We have to meet people where they are. That's what Jesus did, and it's still our responsibility today. I have friends who are Christians and atheists, gay and straight, old and young, of all races and ethnicities. I'm a biker, a runner, and a pastor. I'm extremely blessed. My name is Stephen Chavez, and this is my whole life.
Welcome back.
Gabriel wasn't in good health when he heard God's call to go to a remote village in India.
Despite all the struggles, Gabriel was blessed by his time and knows he only wants to follow God's will for his life.
Adventist Mission has more.
Gabriel approached this remote Indian village for the first time. He didn't know what he was getting himself into, but he had heard a still, small voice impressing him to go. Gabriel had taken a year off school because of health issues, but a friend told him about a mountain village where people had never heard of Jesus. Even though his health was getting worse, Gabriel felt compelled to go.
I told God, since you have sent me here, you have to make me alright. You have to take care of me. I'm completely focusing and depending on you, all my health issue.
After arriving in the village, Gabriel rested and prayed for a week. Then he had to travel a long distance to see a doctor. A blood test revealed that his health had been restored. His prayer answered, Gabriel returned, ready to put all his energy into serving this community. But he quickly realized the challenges facing him. The high altitude made it cold. He had to hike to get water, and the villagers knew nothing about basic health principles.
See, we see a child. The face is so dirty and he's playing with the mud, and here we see a lot of wounds. I don't know how I'm going to support him the medicine. He's feeling so cold. It is so cold here.
Although Gabriel had permission from village leaders, many opposed his presence. But the children loved him. There was no school in the village, so Gabriel turned his home into a classroom.
Here, now most of them, they are beginning to write. They're writing, they know how to write already ABCD, and also they know how to read. And now they're writing, some of them, 1 to 100, and also a spelling.
It was very difficult for them to accept me, and it took almost 4 months to be friends with them. So when they finally accepted me as part of the villager, that makes me very, very happy.
The villagers started inviting Gabriel to spend time with them.
He is cutting Robinson banana. We're going to eat banana flour tonight. We're running short of money and out of vegetable, so we are going to eat a banana.
Soon, Gabriel was having conversations about health principles. Sometimes they even talked about faith.
When they began to ask me, what did you have in your life that makes you so happy? Then I began to share the love of Jesus Christ.
The villagers enjoyed hearing about his hope in Jesus. It was a liberating concept they had never heard before. Many accepted Jesus and started meeting together on Sabbath. Wonderful doors were opening. But Gabriel still got discouraged at times. He felt lonely. One outlet was to visit a market nearby from time to time. But even this came with challenges.
They're smoking, this old lady. I can't bear the smell anymore. But I just have to adjust. I don't know, sometimes I get confused why God sent me such place. Instead of vehicle. This is the place of my mission field.
But Gabriel never gave up. He began hiking to other nearby villages, as far as he could walk, to spread the good news.
Even I'm feeling tired, but I won't give up. I'll go and meet and tell them about the love of Jesus.
After this year of ministry, Gabriel knew that he only wanted one thing: to follow God's will for his life. His desire to delve deeper into the Bible led him to enroll in the School of Theology at Spicer Adventist University.
When I went to the village, I knew that my health is very poor, then I might possibly even died. But I have a patience to reach the Gospels to the people where it is unreached.
Today, Gabriel is happy to be studying at Spicer, a school dedicated to teaching and training students for a higher purpose. His dream is to become a full-time church planter, and thanks to a missionary family sponsoring his studies, that dream is set to become a reality. Not far from the Spicer campus, a community had no school. Just like Gabriel taught his village children, the university has reached out and opened a classroom. The gratitude of parents shows that so much more is needed. This quarter, a portion of your 13 Sabbath offering will help build a new school building for this needy community. Please pray for this opportunity near Spicer Adventist University. Pray that more people will find hope in Jesus, just like the villagers Gabriel ministered to. Thank you for supporting the 13 Sabbath offering and the mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church around the world.
Watch this and other mission stories online by visiting adventistmission.org. Then click on videos at the top.
And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to Elizabeth Henry for a look at Adventist history.
This week, we hear about Johnny May Pierre-Louise and her connection to the Oakwood Aeolians.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. Johnny May Pierre-Louise, née Robinson, was born on December 20, 1927, and is remembered as the person who created the promotional program that brought nationwide fame to the Oakwood Aeolians. While attending Central High School in Ohio, Johnny May quickly became a popular soloist and sang with an elite group, the A Cappella Chorale. It was also while she was in high school that the Robinson family became Seventh-day Adventists. After high school, Johnny May declined several music scholarship offers and enrolled at Oakwood College, now University, in 1946. She joined the college choir and was immediately selected to be part of the Aeolian Ensemble, founded by Eva B. Dykes. Johnny May was one of the Aeolian soloists, served as a member of a female trio, and as one of two female vocalists, both of whom traveled with the male chorus on public relation tours. In 1948, Johnny May transferred to Emmanuel Mission College, now Andrews University, to complete a bachelor's degree in music and in French. In 1964, Johnny May finished her master's degree in music from Andrews University with emphasis in choral conducting and voice. In 1952, Johnny May married Sam Pierre-Louis and traveled with him to Haiti. In 1954, the Pierre-Louis family returned to Oakwood, and that same year, Johnny May began teaching full-time in the music department of Oakwood. In 1956, she was appointed to direct the college choir. While working with the college choir in the Aeolians, Johnny May organized many tours to cities close to Oakwood, as well as many different states, including a Western tour where they presented at Long Beach Convention Center for the Pacific Union Youth Congress. They sang at the 1965 World Fair in New York, were featured on NBC TV, and one Huntsville TV station recorded tapes of performances for rebroadcast during one Christmas season. To find out more about the life of Johnny May Pierre-Louis and other pioneers, please visit the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists online at encyclopedia.adventist.org. This has been a look at This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us your feedback and tell us how your church is making a difference in its community.
Be sure to capture plenty of video footage and photos, then write up a summary of the event's important details, and feel free to send full video reports as well.
You can reach us by sending an email to annvideo11@gmail.com.
Before we say goodbye, here's some good news from the book of John, chapter 1, verses 1 through 5.
The passage says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it."
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit adventist.news for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.